Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is How to Get Away with Murder, Season 4, Episode 5. And the name of this episode is I Love Her. This was a really good episode, y'all. This episode really got us to understand Bonnie and Annalise's relationship, and they did it very well. But before I get started, let me offer my love and condolences to everyone that was affected by the tragedy of Las Vegas, as well as everyone that was affected by the hurricanes Harvey, Irma, Jose, and Maria. If you can give any relief or any support to everyone that was affected by these tragedies, please do so, because we need to support our fellow man in times of tragedy and trouble. Now, let me begin with this review. Now, the episode opens up, we saw where it left off in the last episode. Bonnie has come to see Dr. Isaac, and she gave him a false name. She says her name is Judith. And we actually see throughout the whole episode, we see this session, and we see that Bonnie is broken emotionally, and she's crying a lot, and she also has a lot of anger and a lot of frustration going on. And she's referring to this woman that she used to be very close to, named May. But we actually know May is Annalise Keating. But she's talking about this woman May, and how she is so mad and she hates her, and that she's done nothing but ruin her life and all of that. And we just see that she's just letting out all of this emotion. And so pretty much we actually see that we actually get a flashback back in 2002. And this is when Bonnie and Annalise first saw each other. Because, and let me tell you, Annalise looked good with that Anita Baker short hair. I was like, giving you the best that I got. I mean, that's exactly what came to mind when I saw Annalise get out that car with that short hair. And she was working it. And she looked good, too. At this time, she was actually working, for a firm. And the client she had was this councilman who was being accused of raping Bonnie. Bonnie was actually, Bonnie actually was pretty much a part of the case, and she was trying to, put it out there that this councilman raped her. And we actually come to find out that Bonnie had years of being sexually violated, not only by her own father, but then it was like her father was pimping her out to other people. Her father worked, for the councilman, and he had brought her, to like the headquarters that the councilman worked at, and the councilman raped her. And also, she got pregnant by him, but she said that after she had the baby, she don't know what happened, because her father told her that the baby died. But I'm thinking that child may still be alive. So Bonnie got a child somewhere. And we see that Annalise is actually working, she's pretty much the lawyer for the councilman. So her job really is to defame, Bonnie's accusations. But we definitely tell that this situation has tugged at Annalise emotionally, because, she's a rape victim herself. But then the partner that she's working with, he was saying that, look, I'm going to need you to cross-examine her, because I can't do it. Because it could really be sexist, because I'm a man going after a woman who's been sexually abused. So it will be better it come from a woman than a man. So he's putting her on it to cross-examine Bonnie. But he says that if you knock this out the park, you'll definitely become a partner. And she pretty much let it be known, like, yeah, if I do this and if I don't become a partner, I'm gonna kick your ass. So we definitely see that Annalise still got that edge. But he says that, yeah, you'll definitely get your name on the door, and you'll definitely be partner if you actually nail this for us. So we see that go on. Then we also see, as far as the case, and I'm gonna tie everything as far as the whole case involving Bonnie in 2002. And then we also get flashbacks between Annalise and Sam. She's getting, fertility injections so she can have a baby. And we actually see that her and Sam are in this somewhat good place in their relationship. But we definitely see that Sam really wants a kid. And we actually see that she's, taking fertility shots so she can get pregnant. So what ended up happening is that finally, Annalise starts to cross-examine Bonnie. And we see that Annalise goes after Bonnie. She's saying that, yeah, you have all this series of abuse, but how do you know it's the councilman who raped you? How do you, what proof do you have? I know you're saying that, but how can you prove it in this court that this man raped you? Or better yet, that this man gave you a child. You don't even know what happened to the child, but according to you, the child died. So how can you come up in here and make these accusations, but you really have no proof of anything? You're just going with your emotions, and I understand your emotions because you've been violated time and time again. But how do we know that you're not getting things mixed up and you're pretty much accusing this man of this type of crime, but yet you have no proof that he did it? So she really just ate Bonnie up on the stand. So she gave, the firm what they wanted, but then we see later on she felt bad of how she went after Bonnie on the stand, and she pretty much tells Sam that, yeah, and we see that Annalise was drinking some vodka, and Sam was kind of mad about that. He was like, the doctor said you're not supposed to be drinking while you're taking those drugs. And she's like, look, I'm just having a sip. It ain't nothing big. But she lets Sam know that, yeah, I won the case, but I quit that law firm because I know, and she really felt bad of how she went after Bonnie. She's like, this woman has been sexually violated since she was a child. And then she just went from one sexual abuse to the next. And I tore her apart on that stand. And it just really ate Bonnie. It just really ate Annalise up. So we see that happen, and then we see the next time we actually see her run into Bonnie. Bonnie at the time is a waitress, but she says that and pretty much Bonnie was real short with Annalise. Like, I don't want nothing else to do with you. You supposed to be a woman, and you sat up there and you attacked me after being raped and after being sexually abused. You would come after me like that. It's like, I don't want shit else to do with you. But then Annalise was like, look, I'm giving you a lifeline here. I want to help change your life, and I want to help make things better for you. And and pretty much she was like, look, you obviously know the law very well. You have constantly, throughout this case, I noticed that you really did your homework. So I'm thinking, hey, you should become a lawyer. Won't you come join me, and I can help make that possible for you? So then we see the time where she actually finally brings, she brings Bonnie to her house, and she introduces Bonnie to Sam. So I'm like, this is where it all started. And then it also explains why Bonnie is going after Annalise so hard, because it feels like a personal hurt that she would just dismiss her the same way she dismissed the Keating Five. When she gave them when she pretty much gave them letters of recommendation. And Bonnie felt personally attacked because she says that, because we actually see that they finally get a rundown, because we actually see also in this episode that Annalise is still building her case for this civil action lawsuit against the state, and pretty much we see that Annalise goes to all of the people that Virginia Cross had tried in her cases. I think her last name was Cross, but if it's wrong, put it down in the comments. But she pretty much is going through all of her cases, and of where there have been maybe lack of evidence or something where they didn't get a fair trial because she was a public defender. So she's going through all of her cases. She got them all up. And the funny thing about it, one of those cases was Claudia. Now, y'all remember Claudia. Claudia was the inmate that Annalise had that beat her ass. And she was the one that kept messing with her. So as soon as Claudia came there, she's like, oh, hell no, I ain't trying to be up in here with this bitch. What? Really? And then Annalise lets her know that, that Jasmine had OD'd. We definitely see that bothered her a bit, but then she was like, okay, so what? Like, people died. What you hear about? And she pretty much lets her know that, look, I don't think you really got fair representation when you were in court. And she's saying that, don't you want to be there for your sons? I mean, let's be real. Your sons are growing up in a world where them being young black boys, they could get caught up, in a situation where the police can hound them and, they won't actually have the right representation to defend them. And this is part of the reason why a lot of these police are getting away with this, because they're not really strong public defenders that are supporting them in these type of situations. And we know how they like to railroad our young black men. So that is what got to Claudia, because Claudia does love her sons. So she's like, okay, I got you, and I can get about 15 other girls. But she said, if you screw this up, we coming after your ass. So we actually see Claudia got her 15. So she had all of Virginia's cases, and she pretty much now has the map to actually, build her case against the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We actually see that Bonnie does her research and comes to find out that we actually see that Bonnie finds out that she looks through all of Virginia's cases because Bonnie is looking through the same shit. And we see that on Bonnie's end, she notices that all of them said that the attorney is pending. So she's wondering, okay, Annalise is up to something. So now she takes it upon herself, and pretty much Nate chose to look into it, but he pretty much is trying to tell Bonnie, you need to let this go and stop this shit that you're doing. But then Bonnie's like, look, if you won't help me, I'll find somebody else to do it. And Bonnie was really pissing me off, because I'm like, girl, why are you trying to sabotage Annalise so bad? But this whole episode explained it. But it just goes to show you that Bonnie is mentally and emotionally screwed up big time. So Nate finally corners, Annalise, and lets her know that, look, Bonnie's on your tail. She's after you. So he's letting you know that, look, I can help you with this, because he knows that Annalise is trying to do something good. So he's like, okay, I can help you with this, but you need to go about it the right way. You paying off these guards and all of that is not looking good, and they can use this against you. So he's telling her you need to go about it the right way. So we see that Bonnie goes to the jail and asks, and they can look in the log. Annalise ain't never signed in. So she was like, okay, and pretty much she was like, because Bonnie's asking this lady all these questions, and she's like, look, Annalise has never been here. I haven't seen her in months. You want to know what I had for lunch today too, bitch? And then all of a sudden Bonnie turns around, and at first it didn't show, but then it came back to that scene, and she looks up and she says, let me get the footage off of that surveillance camera. So she knows Annalise has been there, because, the camera don't lie. So then we see that Annalise got all of these cases lined up, and she's happy. She's doing her beat it up dance and everything. She's all excited that she's about to get her case started. But then she starts getting all these calls, and all of them are changing their mind. The first person she went to was a woman. She's like, well, I'm sorry, but I can't work with you because the DA gave me a better deal. And then she starts getting call after call after call after call. So Bonnie went to every single person and let them know that, look, Annalise is only doing this to better her career because her career is in the toilet, and she's using you to better herself. She will not represent you well, and pretty much railroaded everything Annalise did. And I was like, Bonnie, you evil slut. I was so heated with that shit. But then we see that, and this is also being talked about in the session with Dr. Isaac, but she's doing it under a false name. She's referring to Annalise as May, and her name is Judith. But then we see after that, Annalise and Bonnie have a run-in, and she pretty much, and Bonnie lets it be known why she's doing this. She said that you threw me away like I was just another damn intern. You were family to me. You were somebody that took me out of the darkness and gave me an opportunity. I loved you from the depth of my soul because no one ever cared for me. No one ever had my back. And the fact that and the fact that everything that I've done for you, all the shit that I went through, covering your ass and everything like that, and you would just dismiss me with a damn letter like I was a damn intern. Hell yeah, I'm mad as shit at you for doing that. But then Annalise lets her know that, look, you were never trash to me. You were never somebody that like, you mean everything to me. But I let you go because I knew you could handle yourself. I knew that you could finally live your life and do you. But personally, I think Bonnie is in love with Annalise as well. You know, and I'm just going to put that out there. So, but then again, she was saying that, look, you know, but look what you have done, though. Look what you've done. Because she's saying that, yeah, I understand you mad at me, but you are derailing these prisoners the right to a fair trial because of your feelings. And that's why she said that, that's why she told Bonnie before that, that's why you're not a good lawyer, because your feelings always overcloud your judgment. And this is exactly what we saw in this episode. Her feelings always overcloud her judgment. And we see that after her running with Annalise, that's what led her to see Dr. Isaac. So really, she's there, I think, on her own volition, because it just hit her to the core that you not only screwed over Annalise, but you screwed over these prisoners, you know, because her whole class action suit is to give them better representation in court and that they can actually get a fair trial versus a public defender who doesn't defend them properly. So that's what led to her going to Dr. Isaac. And we're seeing that throughout this whole thing, Dr. Isaac is letting it be known, you obviously love May, because if you didn't love May, it wouldn't tug at you emotionally the way it is right now. You wouldn't have all this anger and frustration and all this pain. You love her. And she had to admit, I love her, I love her, I love her. And then she was saying that, yeah, I did the unthinkable. She's trying to do this class action suit, and I just railroaded everything she did. And that is what woke up Dr. Isaac. He was like, so. And it's some odd reason Annalise is a trigger for him. Because when it comes down to Annalise, he gets very, very, you know, he gets shaken up when it comes down to her. So he's like, so you mean to tell me, so he starts putting it together. He was like, class action suit, huh? So May is actually Annalise Keating, isn't it? And you used to work for her. Because she did mention I used to work with May, and we were very close. So she was like, okay, so obviously you used to work for Annalise. So your name is Bonnie, not Judith, isn't it? And that's where it kind of ended with that scene there. But then I'm going to talk about the Keating kids. Michaela is doing her thing up at Kaplan and Gold. She gets called in by Tegan. Tegan's like, she thinks she did something wrong. She's like, oh, Tegan, Tegan, okay, if I did anything wrong, I want to apologize. And she was like, sit down. As a matter of fact, stand up. And she's like, I want to see how you look in these. And she gives her some red-bottom Louis Vuittons, you know, and they were blue, and they looked fucking stunning. So she's like, oh, yeah, girl, you've been doing good things up in here. You deserve this, and shoot, you stick with me, you end up having a whole closet full of them. So we see that, so we pretty much see that Michaela is like the top girl up in the firm, the top intern. So she walking around wearing her new Louis Vuittons, and you can't tell Michaela nothing, honey. She goes over there and she sees that, and we remember she brought in Oliver to kind of break into Keegan's files because she can't get into it without Keegan's access code. But we know that Oliver can hack the system, so that's why she has Oliver there. But we see that Oliver is over there talking with Simon because we know him and Simon had always got along, and we know Simon got a thing for Oliver. So all of a sudden, she goes over there and she pulls Oliver. She's like, you do not talk to that son of a bitch. He is the enemy. And if you continue to deal with him, then me and you are going to become enemies, and you don't want that. So she brings him over and she's like, look, my mission is to get into Keegan's files so we can get this whole situation, so we can kind of give, Laurel, what she's looking for. So we suddenly see Laurel is still doing that. Now, Laurel, I completely am disgusted with this bitch. And I'm going to tell you why. Because she has, right now, normally through a woman's pregnancy, she has these moments where she is intensely horny. So she has just been having sex with Frank left and right. She screwed him in the car. They screwing up in her place. They screwing up in Bonnie's place. They just every damn where having sex. So, and we see also Frank is also trying to take the LSAT because he's trying to become a lawyer himself. So he's going back to school. But he is just giving it to Laurel, and Laurel is always hitting him up she even kind of put a little icon. She texted him are you ready to screw? She is just horny beyond control. But the situation really gets heated with Laurel because we definitely see that Laurel is really adamant about Michaela getting this information, and I'm definitely going to get back to that. But then we actually see that, Frank comes over, and I think she was at Wes's apartment, well, not Wes's apartment, but the apartment that her and Wes shared. We actually see that he comes over, and he's just like, I'm not really feeling this tonight. She's like, well, you could have told me that in the text instead of coming over here making me excited, and you ain't going to give me the D. So then he pretty much brings up the question, isn't it possible that child could be mine? And they went through a scene from last season, and I even said it then and there that her and Frank had sex while she was still dating Wes. So I'm like, it could be a possibility that their kid could be Frank's. So Laurel goes the fuck off and was like, I can't, she was like, don't you ever bring that shit up again, because at the end of the day, I have never forgiven myself that I did that to him, that I allowed you in when I should have kept you out. Because remember that from last season, Frank, went into Laurel's apartment and saw her and Wes having sex. Then he confronted Laurel later on and said he needed a place to lay his head. And then that next morning, we see that he was kind of commando under them jeans. So I'm like, yeah, her and Frank had sex. And I had it in the back of my mind the whole time. And you actually watch my episodes from last season, I did mention that. Her and Frank fucked. So he brought that out. And I'm like, so this is the reason why you're so over the top with Wes. It's because you feel bad that you slept with Frank while you were dating Wes at the time. And you probably know in the back of your mind that it's possible that baby could be his. So she flips the fuck out and was like, don't you ever mention that again. Get the hell out and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bitch, who the fuck are you to get mad at Frank because Frank asked you the question? It's a question that you need to answer with your stupid ass. Nobody told you to sit up here and be spreading eagle with Frank and Wes at the same damn time. Trifling asshole. Anyway. So, we see, as far as Michaela actually breaks in, she gets Oliver to hack the account, and we actually see that guy, Tom Stockland, who was a person that was working with her father, and he somehow just mysteriously died. we actually see that Tegan actually served him a cease and desist letter, but but then next thing you know, we actually see that this alert popped up, and they had so much amount of time to get out of there, because if they didn't, the alert would go off, and the whole company would know that file has been accessed, because that file was actually top secret. So we see that the countdown's going off. Both Michaela and Oliver are panicking, so she's like, take a picture of it, and then we'll move on from there. So they took a picture, and they got out just in time before Simon showed up. So, because they were thinking that they were the only ones there. And then the next thing you know, they was able to get out of it before Simon came there. So Oliver uses a tactic. Hey, why don't we go across the street and get us a few drinks or whatever? And he's like, okay, cool. So they go off. So I'm like, yeah, you told me to stay away from Simon, but him interacting with Simon is now saved Michaela's ass, because Michaela was about to get caught. And we definitely see that they finally, and so then we see that we also in the beginning of the episode, all the Team 4 were together, and they were all talking. Connor still ain't doing shit. Connor's just sitting around not doing nothing, and we definitely see this is taking a toll on him and Oliver's relationship, because Oliver is now working, but Connor's not doing anything. And then again, they also now, due to the fact that Michaela worked with Annalise on the last case, involving President Hargrove, she now knows where Annalise lives, and they know that she's living in this hotel. So we see that go on, and did I talk about that? Yeah, I did. Okay, and then we actually see that Connor, decides to make dinner one day for him and Oliver, but Oliver lets him know that he got a late workload, so he's not going to be in. So Connor feels really bad, because it's like his life is just upside down. And then we also kind of see the same thing with Asher, because Asher has not been able to get an internship, so he's pretty much stuck not doing anything, but then he's working with Frank to help him with the LSATs. And, he's beginning to kind of think that, because he's not spending a lot of time with Michaela. And he's saying that, normally me and Michaela would spend so much time together, but now I barely see her. And then Frank kind of put that thing in his head, do you think she's cheating on you? And he was like, Michaela wouldn't do anything like that. And then Frank was like, are you sure? So then we see a scene where Asher calls Michaela and asks, what's going on with her. She says, I'm tied up at work or whatever, but when I get some free time, I'll holler back at you. And we see that Asher's mad as hell, because Asher is actually talking to her, and he actually sees her in the window at Laurel's apartment, but she lied and said that she was at work. So it's now making him think, is she cheating on me? So we now see that starting to brew. Connor actually takes it upon himself to go see Annalise. And I thought that, that's the one place you wouldn't think Connor would go. That's where he went. He goes to see Annalise, and he pretty much she kind of lets it be known, like, look, I'm really kind of disappointed that you dropped out of school. Like, what the hell did you do that for? And he's like, well, if anything, it's all because of you, because, he's starting to deflect, as he always does. You should have never chose me to be a part of your damn Team 5. My life could have been better. I could have did this, I could have did that, and now my life is completely torn apart. Annalise is saying that, look, you need to focus your mind and your emotions on something else and not focus on that, because it's eating away at you. And he's like, well, I'm not like you. I can't just put these things at the back of my mind and focus on something else. I just can't do it. But Annalise was dead on it. Like, you need something to do. And right now, since you have nothing to do, you are wallowing in self-pity and you're just groveling in bullshit. So after the whole situation went down where Bonnie derailed everything that Annalise is trying to do. She's like, I need you to do some stuff for me. So Connor's like, you want me to work for you? She's like, what else do you have going on? And besides, you need to get up off your ass and do something. So I'm like, she now gonna have Connor work with her in getting this civil action lawsuit off the ground, since Bonnie done fucked her up. Now, who did I talk about? Oh yeah, I did talk about everybody. So we saw all of that go on. So then we get a fast forward, and if I miss anything, from this episode, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. So then it kind of goes forward to, I think, like 2 weeks later, where everything has gone down. Laurel's in the hospital asking where's her baby. Michaela is shaken up. And everything. We see that Dr. Isaac comforts Michaela. He gets a call from Judith, but he ignores it. But, and it makes me question, does he actually know it's Bonnie? But, because, he asked the question, but the question is, what did Bonnie actually tell him? Because we don't see that she actually owned it. So, but then we also go back to Complaining Gold, and we see that, she has a witness to look into. We notice that witness is Oliver, and definitely somebody got capped up in Complaining Gold. And then they say that they have a suspect, and the suspect is Asher, because Asher is sitting in jail crying his eyes out. So I'm like, what the hell happened? And what really went down? Who got killed? I mean, I have like some of my hypotheses, but I'm like still kind of stuck. Like, who got taken out? Like, this is going to be crazy. So I think probably by the mid-season finale, we're probably going to find out what really happened at Complaining Gold, because this shit is crazy. So that's what I have, y'all. Again, if I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, I started a GoFundMe. You can find that link in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I will be back with the next episode of How to Get Away with Murder. So until then, everybody, take care.